going to join the other panelists who are going to discuss the work balance, stress management, and similar issues shortly. So please stay online and let everyone join, and they will introduce themselves, and then I will ask the questions. Yes, Mihai, I can see you. Please, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Mihane Sadiku. I come from Kosovo. I'm Albanian. Recently, since last 7 years, been living in Bodrum, Turkey. But before that, lived also in Dubai, in Afghanistan, worked in Afghanistan, and now I'm in Bodrum, changing after doing other businesses. Now I'm in real estate the last 5 years. And
that's great. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So for me personally, it has been a change every time, and trying to adapt and find new ways and incorporate yourself into different societies, learn a different language, find yourself. And also, I come from a war-torn country too. So our ideas and how you, when I lived in Kosovo in the 90s in difficult times, you don't really foresee all this that has happened to my life now, and to have lived this, and of course, certainly thinking about the work and balance between work and life and all this hasn't really ever entered my mind at the time, because frankly there were no jobs at all to begin with.
Oh, that's great. So
we move on, times change, and now I am.
Medani, we will discuss all in this 1 hour we have. Let me introduce you with everyone, then I'll come back to you. So I can see Asma Jan Muhammad has already joined us from Dubai. Asma, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, good evening, good afternoon. I hope all of you are doing well. I'm a chartered accountant by profession, and it's been 16 years in the industry doing financial planning and management with diverse industry sectors. Being a finance professional, yes, juggling between different balls, which is career, home, studies. It has been a 20 years journey, and I would like to share my story. Would you like me to go ahead with it, or you will introduce?
Let me introduce you everyone, and then I will take your story shortly. So I can see Rebecca is already joined. Rebecca, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi there. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everybody that's watching. My name is Rebecca. I am currently running a consultancy business at the moment in the financial sector for business development, project management, corporate networking events as well. And I'm also running my own charity catering company. So this is the managing of my lifestyle or work comes into play. Running 2 different businesses. It's not always easy, but it's always rewarding, so that makes it more worth it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to today and just continue.
That's a lovely introduction. This IT department is saying there is an echo. Can you check if there is a YouTube open in your PC and some Facebook is open? If you can close down, this echo will finish. Yeah, I think it's fine now. And we have Stilana. She is with us. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Svetlana, and I'm an event organizer from the event industry, and I think I do events for at least 20 years in different countries, starting from Russia, Germany, UK, and international. We perform events in Africa, in the Middle East, in Europe, in East Europe. So I have more background of logistic skills, I would say, and program.
That's great. And would you like to share, other than your professional achievements, would you like to introduce your thoughts about balanced work, about the topic for the day?
This is a question for whom? For me or
Yeah,
for
for
everyone?
you, for you. You were speaking lastly, right?
Yeah, we had this discussion a few days ago with you when we met to discuss session. I think everyone will agree it's very difficult to find any balance. You know, it doesn't matter when we were students, we couldn't find balance between life and study. Now we all are having our own business or running our own business, and we also cannot find balance, right? Especially if you have family. But even if you don't have family, it's still not an easy task, especially if you're an entrepreneur. I think every single person has their own understanding of balance as well, right? So for somebody, balance is to work 20 hours a day, and for somebody, balance is to work 8 hours a day. Again, it's a personal, comfortable feeling. If you feel that your family is happy, you're happy, I think you're doing well. That will be my explanation of balance. But if you feel overwhelmed, and I always say, job or your work doesn't bring you happiness anymore, it's time to change this job. You know, it's time to change the game. It means something wrong, or with your balance, or with your interests, or whatever. Yeah, that would be my feedback.
That's it. Actually, why I started this way is we know that there are ladies, there are female, there are women who don't have they didn't born in a very rich families. Life was really difficult for them, and they had a struggle, and after this struggle they get to a position which where we recognize them as women leaders in their own particular fields. So it's really important to discuss for the listeners that how important, how you did it, how you manage it. So I will go to Asma Jan Mohammed to share her life story, which is really impressive, and then we will take her thoughts on the questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Berkeley and Musa Sheikh Global Women Foundation. I think this is an excellent initiative in which you are gathering amazing women around the world to speak on such topics of immense importance so that they can share their experience and become an inspiration for all those around the world who are struggling to still aspire and achieve their objectives. I come from a conservative background, but then decision to undertake higher studies and continue as a professional was indeed a real struggle from the very beginning. But I do credit my mother and my sisters in my family who were the force behind and who actually made me realize that there has to be some kind of an identity created for a woman to be able to survive and make her own name. Now, they always envisioned me as a high achiever. And as a matter of fact, I have seen them juggling many balls from the very beginning. My sisters who pursued private tuitions to be able to support studies. Also, they were helping my mother in household tasks. Since my childhood, I have seen the day starting at the dawn with no afternoon breaks or rest, continuing until 10 p.m. at night. So this is something that I've seen from the very beginning. Now, despite seeing the lengthy struggle, I still took a decision to pursue further studies in the field of accountancy, and it was a 6-year-long journey. By the way, there were no female presidents in this profession, particularly of finance and accounting, in my immediate family. An interest-free community fund helped me to support my studies. And during the training for professional qualification, and obviously it was not easy. The ratio of female trainees was extremely low at that time. I'm talking about 20 years from now, 20 years back from now. There were work challenges in getting equal opportunities and exposure for females too. All this came in the form of firefighting between priorities on a daily basis at home, office, and for studies. Somehow the objective of arriving, at a certain objective and aim kept inspiring me, and I survived and achieved the chartered accountancy qualification with 2 gold medals. Now, coming to the question of why I decided to make a harsh choice. Definitely taking work and family together at the time when I was single, it was a difficult choice, but then going ahead when I got married, I again chose to continue my profession and career, and definitely it was a harsh choice. for myself. From the time I qualified, I thought that I would continue my career no matter what. And this was a very strong statement that I made to myself. Believe me, nothing comes as an education or advisory support in this regard. A woman has to decide herself that she want to do something, and then she has to manage everything all by herself. By this, I mean emotional management, which comes what to prioritize, how to absorb stress, and then manage it. Running between office and work to make sure all what is needed is met, with no exceptions allowed. It was a huge task. I had been working in the industry for 16 years now with a full-time job, and I do credit myself in carrying this resilience and determination so far, besides having 2 kids. Now, the question of, is the balance between work and life achievable? Is that a measure for success? I would say balance cannot be created. We must aim for an integration between work and life, because that is a possibility. But the more we aim for perfection, the more we aim for balance, definitely it becomes difficult and difficult. Achieving work-life integration or balance is a measure for success. Again, it depends on personal narrative, how one measures their success. But there are certain issues when we come to define success, and then when we sit down and define measurement for success. We see that only women are patronized to be achieving work-life balance or integration, and not men. Now, this is a bit sad and unfortunate part of it. I think a lot is assumed to be delivered by women on the household front, even when they decide to work outside. So that is one reason we always find balance between work and life going for women only, and women only coming forward and justifying it. Expectations never get an adjustment. In fact, they get doubled once women come forward and say, okay, we want to work as well. Now, such perfect expectations, in my opinion, do not remain human. What comes first, work or life? I would say it depends on the situation. At times, work comes first, and at times, of course, family is the priority. Quite dynamic in nature, and it changes on a daily basis. If there are deliverables to be given at the office, definitely the person who's working in the office has to focus on that. But if there is somebody not well in the family, a woman has to make sure that she is present at home and attending. Now, yes, there is one thing which is definitely for sure neglected, and that is women themselves. So in all this exercise of balancing or integrating or satisfying or meeting expectations, women do neglect themselves and their health to a larger bit. How to achieve this balance? I would just try to share some of my experiences. Since many years, I've eliminated my TV time completely. I have, to some extent, discounted my sleeping hours as well, so that I make sure that I have some me time besides attending to household things and as well as the work-related tasks at office. The use of social media, which is a big time eater, definitely goes a big filtration. And then later on, in later years, there was some realization too that we need to look after our health first. So I have taken up some exercise as a routine as well. Now, there is one more thing I would like to share, which is kitchen time. So I have actually limited my kitchen time practically, and I've adopted a scientific method of determining the required cooking time by relating it with the amount of time we spend on the dining table eating that food. So I don't really spend a lot of time in the kitchen, and we can actually bring a lot of process improvement in the kitchen if we desire so. Another very important point is to be able to filter. A lot of positivity comes from the people around us, and we have to make sure we are exposed to relationships which are valuable and they are bringing positivity in our lives. I think it takes an age to reach a stage where you face a question: who are you outside work? And outside work and outside your family. So as a person, you sit down and you tend to realize that you have really missed a lot on this personal front. So I would suggest a few things should be done, which is like taking care of health, and it should be a priority without compromise. And there should be some savings, to take care of personal needs and hobbies. And there should be some hobbies which should be pursued, in the long run, which actually gives you some kind of a breather whenever there are situations which are not so good. So, yeah, this was my experience so far.
That's a lovely input, and we will continue the same with other questions as well. I have some questions which I want to ask also. So let me move to Mihani. Mihani, what is your take on work and balance, work and life balance?
I don't think everyone tries to struggle and find this balance. I just don't want to think about it too much, because then if I think about too much, then I'll be too much working, or I'll be neglecting the work, or something will always fall behind. I feel like every time something falls behind. With me, I've been working, then there's been a period of time when I didn't work. I've concentrated on motherhood, and that has been the downtime for me. And now last few years have been very busy, and I can just concentrate on the work. But it does help if you have help around you, that's for sure. And then it eliminates the little things that you don't have to concentrate on them. So that for me has been really great. And I've been enjoying that, so I don't have to think about things like that. So it's mostly work and family. That's the one that has to kind of work. And most of the work actually is done from home as well. So it's not really, for me, it's not, there's not a big struggle anymore. Before, what we used to do, especially like with our work was mostly abroad and this and then, I had to be the one that was at home all the time to provide the care and the nurturing and all this. So I couldn't even think of being outside of this environment. But now, with the passage of time and with my son is being older, and with possibility of working from home and actually achieving so much more from home, I don't really feel that there's anything. The balance is kind of working. Maybe in the chaotic order, maybe not in the way that, I think that it should be like it should be like this or this, but no, it's just working. I think it just depends on everyone, and also what you want to achieve as well, and what kind of success do you want to have, or how much do you want to put yourself behind your business or your work that you do. I definitely think for me the family it does take more of a priority. Most of the time.
That's great. That's great.
But
See,
the phone is over.
I observed the new generation. They are not inclined towards marriage, and secondly, they are not inclined towards for having kids as well. So, how a Kosovian girl think? In general, what is their dreams, what's their appreciation, because it's a good opportunity to talk about you and your culture.
Well, I'm sure because I wouldn't be much in touch with what they are thinking, and but from what I see, of course, everybody wants more. Everybody wants to achieve more. Everybody wants to have their dreams and lives fulfilled first, and then the marriage and the other things can come after that. Of course, that's not that doesn't apply to everyone. I'm sure there are different ideas of what what people want, women especially in Kosovo want to achieve. But I definitely would say that in my circle or the people I know, that they really want to achieve a lot more in life before settling down or actually having a family life, because I don't think anyone wants to really settle down.
Yeah, that's a quite nice and traditional approach. In our culture also we say that first you study and then talk about the marriage. That's how it works, and it's really useful. So let's move to Naima.
I think
Naima,
it's more than that. I think everybody just wants to travel more, see more.
how? Okay, that's great. That's great. So let's move towards Naima. Naima, what steps are
Yes.
required to create a balance in the life?
Sorry again. Can you ask again?
What
Hello?
steps are required? What steps are required to have a work balance between work and life?
Okay. I know people are constantly pushed to work faster to handle the increasing workload. But please do not be discouraged. However, there are a little steps that can be taken to keep your life on the right track. Now, I will talk from my
Hmm.
experience because I'm auditor. This is my work. So, what I did two steps. The first step is manage your time and specify your priorities. The second one is set specific goals and plan for them. So now, with regard to the first step, which is manage your time and specify your priorities, which means that you need to analyze your current situation, which is the starting point to achieve a work-life balance. Keep a database of everything you do for 2 weeks, like what I did, including work-related and personal activities. This data will help you to understand how you are utilizing your time and where you are losing it. Now, after collecting the data, spend more time to specify what is the most important to you and what is the least important for you, and make a list of yours at work and at home as well. Then ask yourself some questions like, what do I need to start doing? What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to continue doing? What do I need to do more or less or do it differently? And I know both work and family are important. So you need to make mindful selection as to how you balance your time and commitment. This is the first step. Now the second step, take your list of priorities, which is outcomes from the step number one, and try to turn them into smart goals. And have one date planner, whether paper or electronic, doesn't matter. So this banner or planner is a way to translate your priorities and goals into reality. What I did, I set around 15 minutes at the beginning of each day, as I did, to plan my tasks and activities for the day and evening ahead. You need to set also realistic boundaries. For example, set aside a time at home during which you will not check or respond to work-related emails or voice emails, for example, which mean take time for you and leave work at work. Try to communicate your work-life boundaries with your manager. This is what I did. For example, tell them that you have a family commitment today and you will not answer work-related emails after this time. Likewise, let your family know if you work online that this is the ground rules and do not disturb me unless something needs me heavily involvement in this certain period. If you allow me also to give you scenarios to approach the picture. Let us say
Sure, go
that
ahead.
yes. Let us say that you have always been passionate about becoming a successful and professional employee. At the same time, you feel like you need to have kids someday. Now, think, if you reaching a certain point in your career feels more critical to you than starting a family, and I advise you, consider waiting until you have settled into a job you love before having a kids. Another scenario, if you are, for example, married, like me, should you and your spouse both work? And you have to ask yourself such questions. How many children can we take care of if you are both working? Are there any other family members that you can rely on to shoulder the load? I mean, to maintain a secure and a good support system for your kids. To summarize about the steps: getting your priorities in order, making strategy decision ahead of time, and making efficient use of your time. Thank you, Musa.
Oh, that's great. I think your suggestions are really, really practical. And I think not only women, men also get a lot of value out of it. I mean, I can feel the way work from home, schedulizing, and this will be a tremendous tool. So, thank you very much for sharing such a nice thoughts. And let's move to Rebecca. Rebecca, can you please share your thoughts? You are still single, right? So, as a single person, what you balance? Like, what you need to balance being a single person? You don't because I saw that when you are married, you have kids. Kids are squeezing you. Office is squeezing you. Husband is having its own argument. So life need a balance, right? So for an individual, what are your balance set? Like, what are your challenges as a youth? And why deliberately we put you as a youth? So youth can also get a value from your discussion. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think being in the younger generation, and being single, it's important to just know what your goals are. And once you're able to really identify what it is that you want to achieve in life, that helps you to start to sort of plan and, create that balance that you need. Because I think the most important thing is your health and, being full of energy and being able to do, everything that is necessary. And I think that it's difficult sometimes if you are completely focused on work and you don't leave any room for, just your personal life. And then vice versa. Sometimes you're way too focused on your personal life, which means that you can fall off the mark. I think with the younger generation, there's a lot more distractions that can come into play. And that's why being focused is very important. So for me, I mean, I'm managing two different businesses at the same time and in very different industries. One is in the food industry and the other is in finance. And I just utilize every part that I can, really. I once had a public speaker coach, and he once told me that it's very important to always have a 0.5 job. So what I mean by that is you have your 9 to 5, your day job that you do, and it's always important to have that extra 0.5 job, which is something that you enjoy, something that's your passion and something that drives you. When you're able to have that, it keeps you focused when you're also not working. So for me, this is where my food business originated from. I used to cook a lot, host a lot for my friends and family. And, I've always had the aspiration to have my restaurant one day. So I turned that into the business. I got focused on that. And, the great thing is that both of them fund each other. But once I was able to really just enjoy that part, it made managing work a lot easier because I was always in a happy mood, So, yeah, I just think that it's important to just recognize what your goals are, as I said, and then just make sure that you have that time for yourself. Because if you are overworked, it's going to be difficult to be focused. I think the good thing is that, work and companies nowadays are allowing for this structure. And I think this applies to both men and women. It's not really just a matter for women in this case. The fact that you do have the options to work from home definitely helps, just having that one day that you can be in your comfortable environment and work. So personally, I work from home mostly, and then most of the other time I'm out on meetings. And that really does help me. Sometimes it is nice to be in an office environment, but having that option to work from home does help you to be able to take care of some other matters that you might have at home as well. So yeah, I think being a youth, being in the youth category, as you mentioned, you can be faced with a number of distractions, and I think that it's also a lot easier for us because if you think about it, we've had education growing up, or the majority of us have had the opportunity to have that. And if you think about it, from a very early age, we've all been managing our lives. And at the time, it was the education. So, going to university, going to school, we were all having to manage that at some point, and we learned that from a very early age. And as long as you are consistent with that transition from education into then working and not really taking too much time off before getting into that, I think that it's quite a smooth transition and you just keep going at the end of the day. As a single person, I don't have to necessarily worry about, a family and, children and so on, but I do have to worry about myself and making sure that I'm well fed and making sure that I'm staying fit and active. So alongside with my 0.5 job, I'm a massive sports person. I'm very enthusiastic about basketball and football and going to the gym. This is what drives me and gives me the energy to keep going, actually. You'd think it would take away the energy, but that's sort of what drives me. And I'm very, what's the word? I'm very passionate about it. And if I was to not able to include that into my life, I'd be very miserable. If I wasn't able to, if it's just going to work, coming home, going to work, coming home, and I couldn't be active, I couldn't be part of another team. I've got my work team, but it's always nice to be part of a sports team. And, I play in a competitive league. That helps me. So I would recommend that, if there's something that you're passionate about or you have a hobby, make time for that. And you'll be surprised how much more positive you can be. And it's not such a negative view when you think about having to go to work. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
That's great. That's great. Let's go to Stelana and ask that how she manage her work stress, how your stress management works personally. Oh, your mic is mute. Your mic is mute. Yeah, please go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah?
Please go, please. Yes,
Can you
yes,
hear?
please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Now it should be right. Yes, Musa?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, good. I was listening to Rebecca and I was smiling a little bit because before children, I had the same opinion as Rebecca. And I was also doing some dance courses and doing a lot of sport, running, if I give you the list, it probably will be massive one. But, children change a lot of things. And I know the topic of this session is incredible because how to keep that balance about family and work. And at the same time, I can understand the point about developing countries where family comes first. If we speak about Europe, I think sometimes this question would be not even kind of understood because we do speak about it in Germany or in UK, but it's kind of set up already, right? So probably families do not have too high expectation that mother has to come home, cook, clean, take care, do homework and all that things because jobs are pretty much shared. And that's what we discussed as well, Musa, with you last time, because the family support, the husband support is incredible, right? When in developing countries, it's not always the case, unfortunately, right? Because we have high expectation what women should do. I have a lot of friends in developing countries that are working and have kids, but their rule in the family is when I come home in the evening, you should be with me, and not do your work or sport or dance or meeting friends or whatever. So, and I think I don't have a clear answer, but what I found living in different countries, in developing countries as well, we need to start with education of our children and our boys and our husbands, our brothers, our fathers, right? As soon as they understand that we should not manage all jobs and they have support us, it will be easier generation to generation. And I can tell you this for sure because my grandma was one of that case that tried to manage all possible jobs. And my mother already didn't do this, right? So if she had to work until late, my dad knew he had to take care about us. And if I take my husband now, he was telling me that when he was a child, they had a task every weekend to clean the house, he and his brother. So when I now do some cleaning at home, he says, oh, it's my task because it was my task when I was a young boy. And this is, it's hilarious from one hand, but it's incredible support in a small thing. So what I'm saying with this point, balance is important. When you have support, it doesn't matter where the support coming from your parents, from your husband, from your children, but don't do everything alone. And that probably will be my main message about balance, because when you do it alone, it's impossible to balance it. Trust me. It's just, when I try to do everything, I'm just falling apart. I'm getting frustrated, nervous, angry, and is not good. But for developing countries, again, just to repeat what I'm saying, it's not easy to change the culture, which was built centuries, right? And there are good things in that culture. So, I did miss in Europe, being in Germany, that family quality time when family come in first, not the work. Trust me, a totally different setup, and kids have totally different quality time with their mom than they had in UK or in Germany, right? Because mom is always for them there. There is a long discussion, is it good or bad? But kids always have security that mom is there. But to support women, we need to educate men. And I'm really, really clear with that. And I will not change my message. Enough to educate women about their rights, about their freedom, about their balance. We know that we need a balance, and we know that we cannot handle everything. And we know that we have ambitions and want career. The only issue what we have is sometimes men do not allow us or do not support us. Yeah, depend on the country and depend. So once we can change that, I think things will get easier.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. And that's what is actually the main objective of this conference, to influence the policy maker, which are majorly are men. So we are giving them insight about free education, free health, free support, incubation center, startup support. So let the woman exercise her rights to marry, to study, and access to the healthcare. And you are right that a man need to be groomed for it, because woman is already ready to come out. Even they are already out in their personal capacity, striving hard. Life is difficult, especially in developing country when there is a male dominance, harassment, work harassment, street harassment. There are some developing country you will not imagine. When you go on the road, people whistling you, people give you comments, unnecessary comments. Till the time you reach your office, you are already mentally, physically, and motivation wise totally collapsed. So such a difficult situation, girls are trying to do their role. That is really amazing. So let's go to Asma Jan Mohammed and see. Asma, we are discussing that how you manage the stress. So I will add certain more things which is actually demanded from the audience that I should ask. So in developing countries, we have a stress of father-in-law, mother-in-law. We have a stress of neighborhood. We have a stress of husband. I'm not talking you as a person. I'm talking about in general, that you may not have a husband stress, but there are ton of women. I feel either they are not understanding them, they are not giving them extra support, either they are not helping domestically. They are just like king, and they just want you women to do everything, and they don't want to do anything. So please go ahead with all these thoughts. Or your mic.
Yeah, stress management, so far what I have understood has just one basic rule. Learn to say no to unreasonable request. This is the only rule that
Wow.
this is the only rule that everybody should follow. And in order to follow this rule, you should be able to understand what is reasonable and what is not reasonable. In order to reach that stage where you can classify something as unreasonable, you need to be very clear in your own thoughts, in your own objectives. You need to be able to value yourself. Women in our part of the world, what I have seen, they don't, they undervalue themselves. Put a lot of they take a lot of stress themselves by doing everything and assuming all responsibilities themselves. We must be able to learn that if we are stepping our foot out of the house for work, we as humans will not be able to 100% at home. So you need to actually acknowledge and accept this fact, and then only you will be able to tell somebody else about it. So first is the correction, to stand corrected ourselves that what is humanly possible from our side. What we do normally is we try to, first we undervalue ourselves, then we over assume responsibilities, and at the end we take an assumption of over expectations from other side as well. So there are, consecutively 3 lapses that are from our side, which makes the system, which makes the entire process complicated in the first instance. Once a woman is able to actually, rectify this process, then only she will be able to tell somebody else in the family what is desired and what is reasonable. Something is unreasonable, one should be able to step up and say no. Now, it can be anybody in front, it can be a spouse, it can be in-laws, it can be other family members, it can be a neighbor. As we see in our country back, even neighbors can come and interfere in lives. So this is one basic and the most important factor. Once we are able to figure out what is unreasonable, the rest of the management is just about analyzing, prioritizing, and then just executing. So that's my take on it.
That's great. But imagine like there is a fast growing female who is married with 2 small kids and she has dreams. She want to do a lot, but the husband is not supportive and even has become an obstacle in and everyday fight in the home and too much criticism. So in that scenario, what you suggest, how she is gonna, because developing countries has such kind of issues. We also listen these stories. So what's your take on it?
There is one solution. I don't know how practical it is, but I strongly believe that if discussions are happening around this topic, definitely solutions can be implemented as well. And one of the solutions is basically to have counselors at different levels of marriages, before marriage, after the marriage, few years later after the marriage, in order to revisit where the things are standing. Because having a toxic life and having fights at home, it naturally has a bad impact on the person who's undertaking it and on the surroundings as well. So there is absolutely no point in dragging a situation which eventually is going to worse and worse every day. So I think counselors and can play a vital role, and those counselors should not be just volunteers. I mean, there should be a system in place. It has to be at the state level, in which the mental health of the people, both husband and wife, needs to be checked at certain stages, whereby one can determine whether there are healthy things inside the family going on or not. So this is one solution I see, but definitely implementation will take a while. We tend to give our attention, a lot of attention to bad examples around us. But there are good examples as well around us, in which there are men who are very supportive, who have daughters, who push them for higher studies, who actually tell them to go for professional careers, and they are quite supportive and wholeheartedly helping all the way through. Those examples should be highlighted, brought forward, talked about, and there should be more discussion on it as to how this is being done, how if there is a stressed situation, how that can be managed, that can be solved. So I think we need to have some kind of a structural process which facilitates these kind of, and discussions about good things, about people who support, about people who believe in
There might be only 5 to 7%. You are talking about 5 to 7 people who are really supportive. I mean, just yesterday I was sitting with a chartered accountant who is from Pakistan, and we were talking about his marriage, and there was a proposal we're discussing. So everything sounded amazing. At the end of the discussion, he said that because girl is a doctor, so I told him that their parents and herself also want to carry her job and her career. So he said, no, 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 no. This is we cannot accept. She is a woman, and in our culture, not allowed. And so, what is this chartered accountancy? What is living in an advanced country? I'm really upset with such kind of mindsets.
I have a small suggestion to actually, there was one question that you asked in the earlier panel, that if an opportunity is given to become the prime minister or assume power, what a woman would like to do. I have a small suggestion, although I'm not sure that after listening to that suggestion, all the men are going to vote for elections, but I would really like to put it forward. I think a lot of work which is assumed on the side of women, which she does after marriage in terms of household tasks, is unpaid. So that to be monetized and written and paid in the form of some kind of a money every month in her bank account, which serves as a security for her, so that at a later stage, any time in life comes only once. So at any point of time, if she realizes she need to come forward, she need to work, she need to pursue her hobbies, or she need to actually go and if she has some dreams, she want to achieve those dreams. She can be financially empowered to take those decisions, and I think this action is going to actually have an effect on the other side as well. Some kind of value addition will be realized, and this is really going to actually give an impact on the other person to value that there are some services which, other than the wife, is not
unpaid.
So that is what
I think, yes, you are right. I absolutely right. As a man, I agree, and there should be a legislation. And I think, being from cultural and religious point of view, also there is a mandatory stuff. I mean, people don't follow it, but there is in religion that's like that wife should get her share on monthly basis. So I will move to Naima. Naima, we are almost in the end. We have left with 10 minutes. All of you, please, panelists, you are really doing an amazing value input, but we are having short of time. So we will take the closing remarks. What are your suggestions for your upcoming women or women who is into business? What is your suggestion to them, how they should manage their work balance, life, stress management, and lifestyle?
Thank you, Musa, for these questions. I want to say to all women, accept that imbalance is sometimes unavoidable, but there will be always challenges and golden opportunities that we have to utilize accordingly. The most important thing is that you don't allow imbalance to become the norm or rules in your life. What I mean allow imbalance to be a rare exception. Balancing work and life is not easy, because it's not easy, I know. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. Every woman must find specific solution to her issues depend on her own preferences and needs. And also I want to share with all women a tool called the Wellness Wheel. WELLNESS, Wellness Wheel. The tool is helpful for understanding how to create more balance in different areas of your life. Whenever you feel that you need to hit the rest button in your life, this tool will help you figure out and how you can do that. In this tool, there are different areas represent your life, like home, health, career, relationship, recreation, and so on. You need to rank your level of satisfaction in each area. Then after identifying and ranking the area, commit yourself to work on them and make it happen. I prefer to take only 3 areas to work on. And what I mean that I will use Wellness Wheel, and I will focus in the career, home, and health to avoid overwhelming myself. And always I revisit the tool every 2 or 3 months in case other areas need attention. And I will repeat again that your first priority must be your family. Thank you so much, Mr.
Oh, Naima, it's really nice, and you have a very strong approach on life and a very managerial handling. I can say it's a blend of both. I actually want to have another session with more detailed stuff. There are a lot of questions which we have, but unfortunately, time is not permitting. So we will definitely take this continued in the next sessions. So let me go to the next participant for the closing remarks. Let me pick Mihana. So can you please wrap up the sessions in your thoughts?
Well, what I want to say, it's not just about the younger generation, but anyone that, especially women, that they feel that they want to do something different, or they're starting up, or they want to change their life or career or anything, to just go for it, do it. And if you need to prioritize and you just need to shift the priorities, maybe change some priorities, and then just go for what you want to do. Life and the balance will find itself. When you are happy, when you are doing what you want, everything surely in the end falls into place. And that's what I found for myself. And I think it should, maybe it can help someone else. But if you want to do something, just do it. There shouldn't be too much thought of how things should, with the balance, how things would work with family or life or everything else. It will work in the end, I believe.
You're absolutely right. Whatever we think we should do, otherwise we should not die with the regrets. That's what I always believe.
I also think that we live in such times now, different to before, when one career, one path, one choice was it. But now we have so many choices, and you can switch from one place to another, from one job to another, and retrain yourself, go back to university or take another course and do something else, and you can really do and achieve anything you want.
That's great, amazing. Thank you very much for your lovely comments. Let me go to Rabika and take her full of energy closing comments for the day. Yes, Rabika. Your mic seems mute. Can you speak? Your mic is mute. Yeah, that's fine.
There we go. Yeah, so I definitely agree with a lot of what Mahini was saying. For me, I just think it's a case of prioritizing yourself always. And it's okay for there to be an imbalance at times. And that happens in life in general. So, sometimes work can be heavy and sometimes it's pretty light. And we just have to be sort of appreciative of the time that we do have when we're at work. One thing that I think is a really good rule to have, and I think it was mentioned a little bit earlier as well, is when you're at work, you're at work. When you're home, you are home. When you're out and about, when you are not in a work environment, you need to know how to say no. You need to know how to not look. I think the difficult thing is the enhancement of technology that we have today. The fact that we have our emails on our phones. It means that we can actually access this straight away. If we were not in the office, we would not see that email until we're in the office. But now we can see it on our phones. We just think to ourselves, oh, it won't hurt to just have a quick look. And then before you know it, we're responding to the email and it's on the weekend or it's late in the evening. A lot of people are working till crazy hours now, and I think it's important to know when to stop. Obviously, as a single person, I don't have this issue, but for those who are married and that have children and so on, it's very important to know that you do have your family that are here and you need to make yourself available and provide that time. I know I was extremely lucky in my household growing up. My mom is still is somebody that is working a lot. She's very passionate about what she does, but you know what? She always had time for us as children, and we had such great family dinners and discussions, and it was very good to be able to see this and be motivated by it. And then I would also say, in terms of stress, it's important to have some mechanisms to be able to cope with this. One of them, like I said, it's always important to have a hobby or an interest, something that you can de-stress yourselves with and actually gain some happiness in the process. But also, if you have those parts where things are imbalanced, and the workload is quite high and you're trying to manage the two, I have 3 rules for managing my stress. Especially when it comes to the fact that I have things to do at home and I also have things to do at work. I write everything down, because when you think about it all in your head, you never really get started with anything. You just keep thinking, I need to do this, I need to do that, but you don't actually do it. So the key is to write everything down. You can separate it into what you have to do for work, a to-do list, and what you have to do when you come home or on the weekend and so on. Once you do that, you're transferring that energy and that stress from your mind onto the paper, and you'll be surprised how much relief you get straight away from that. Secondly, it's a case of being organized and prioritize. And I think Asma said it earlier about learning to say no to unreasonable requests. It's really important when you're prioritizing to know whether that's something that you should be doing yourself, or is this somebody else's, is this something that somebody else can do? I'm guilty of always saying yes. So when it comes to that area, I know a lot about it being very stressful because I say yes to everything. And then when I'm in the moment, I'm stressed. And who's here to help me? Who's here to support me? Nobody but myself, right? So you have to start learning to say no to certain things, not because you want to be horrible, but sometimes you just have to prioritize what you need to do. Once you've got that all in a nice order, you can start ticking it off. And it feels very nice to put a tick next to something when you've completed it. So that keeps you having positive energy as well. And then the third rule is simply just do it. I don't know if you've heard of the famous American football coach, Art Williams, and he actually inspired the slogan for Nike, which is just do it. And he said, it doesn't matter. You can give all the excuses in the world. You can say, as soon as I get to the top of that hill, I'm going to be able to run really fast. Okay, great, just do it. Just do it. Because if you dwell on it for too long, we procrastinate. So I think with that being said, it will definitely help managing your stress, help to manage your social life. Really do make time for other people in your life and your friends. It's important to have those people that want to support you and be there for you. And just make sure that you look after yourself in that process. I think that's probably how I would round up my main points.
That's great. Thank you very much. Let's move to Stalana and take her final thoughts about the day and the session.
Yeah, it's it's very interesting. I listen all of you, and I was smiling because everyone has advice. And you know what? I don't have advice because I didn't find balance in my life. And what I want to say to women, it's normal. It's absolutely normal because I keep comparing myself to other women. It doesn't matter in which country I live. I say, oh, she's doing much better than me. She's more successful in career or at work or with her children. We constantly compare us to moms that do not work and say how lucky they are. And then that mom comes compares to us and say how lucky they are to work. So that's what I'm trying to say, and the same, it's related to countries. Women from developing countries saying, oh, how lucky women in developed countries, they can go to work, they can do career. And we sometimes, and myself saying, oh, how lucky they are. They can spend their time with kids and husband and just cook and go to the forest, sing and enjoy themselves. There is no answer on this question. And that's what I want to say. Just enjoy your life. If you want to say no to your career and become a mom, just become a mom. If you want to, become a new Bill Gates, just become a Bill Gates. Just be happy. And it's normal. And, to be mom, it's also career. To be general manager, it is career. There is no, you cannot explain what career is. So from my side, I wish everyone a good evening and say, do not be guilty. We're all in the same boat, and I'm sure we will do well and we'll come to the right, to the right pitch or direction.
This is the most amazing ending of any panel I can see from your side. Thank you very much. Let's move to Asma and take the closing remarks.
Well, my closing remarks are again directed towards women only. We need to further understand what can be from our side and then compare it what is expected given all the differences that come through cultures and social values and civilizations and our education and learnings. Our social conditioning definitely plays a bigger part. But again, this is our social conditioning only, which gives us a rationality to decide what we want to pursue. And as the earlier panelist said, yes, whatever one decides, whether it is a career, whether it is a career as well as a family together, one needs to be happy and contented about what one has decided. So again, clarity of thoughts with women themselves. If they understand their true value, only then they will be able to communicate that value to others, and then things definitely will become easier. So I think women has still a lot to be done themselves in terms of deciding, in terms of prioritizing and then deciding what they really want to do and how they want to see themselves be valued by others. So I think that's
great. I think this is a lovely comment, and there are so many questions which are still to ask, and I really want to ask these questions. So what is the most appropriate way is to take you another panel in next event and let's address these. And Asma, I'm really obliged that you are not feeling well and you managed to come online and share your thoughts. This is really amazing. And I'm really thankful to all of you who really took out your time. I'm sure it's not easy to take out the time and share the value with the society and with the women. I'm really, really obliged, and I'm looking forward to see you in my next events. And as this COVID restrictions, everything will finish, we will do some onshore physical events where we can meet each other and interact more and more in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.